This paper was presented at the JCT Traffic Signals Symposium 2023 in Nottingham, thanks to the support of AGD Systems, Inrix, Message Maker Displays, PTV Group, Simplify Systems, Smart Micro UK and TRL Software.
So I'm Peter Simm, I work for Mobius Networks. Name's Simm and I sell SIM cards. You can't make it up, so there you go. I started out in this industry many years ago in the good old days when we had standalone systems in racks and we didn't need to bother about the IT team in the building because it was all under our control. And my biggest worry was whether I could get BT to get a twisted pair into a cabinet in a timely manner, and how things have changed. Now I start talking about data streams and cloud services and other things that I really don't understand. But hey, it's progress, I guess. I want to keep banging the drum about this guy, Don Jolly, because he's the bane of my life. And he's the bane of your lives as well, because you accept that mobile doesn't work in this area, in this arena. You accept that you've got no coverage. But I can't remember that I was anywhere in the UK that I didn't at least have 2G on my mobile phone. And given the data levels that we're sending around, 2G is sufficient for remote monitoring, it's enough for VMS signage, so I don't understand it. You accept that networks go down, and again, I can't remember the last time a network went down. They take cells down overnight, but it shouldn't impact the services that we're delivering. But you accept it when they go, oh, the cell's gone down, or the network's gone down, and it doesn't really happen. So I'm asking you to start being a bit more challenging. And I'm going to coin a phrase. I want you to be more like Jackie, who sits there and she asks questions all the time. And that's what I want you to do as engineers, to start asking questions and not accepting that there's no coverage or a network's down. Forgive me, I'm not, as I said, I wrote these slides last night. But the good news is, you don't have to be a mobile engineer to understand 4G, 5G. But I do want you to be able, like engineers, and ask questions. And like I say, be more like Jackie. And be more demanding as an industry. Start asking questions of your consultants, of your suppliers. And by being more demanding, you can drive the standards up. An illustration of this, I see this hundreds of times in tender documentation. They show a mobile network as a device out in the field, a SIM card, a fluffy cloud that shows the mobile network, and the in-station device, whatever that may be. And if you think of it in those simplistic terms, how do you fault find? As engineers, how do you fault find? Because you go out on site and it's got power and everything looks okay and your router's got flashing lights on, super duper. So it must be the SIM card. So you ask your SIM provider to give you another SIM card or give it a magic rub and you put it back in and that doesn't work. And then you've got this fluffy thing. Well, what do you do there? You accept that the network's down or there's no coverage. And then you take your in-station. But thinking it in these simplistic terms, you can't perform your engineering job. So, what I want you to start demanding is something like this, where somebody can talk you through each of the steps and identify each of the steps. And then if you've got a problem, as engineers you can work through systematically. Is it the device out in the field? Is it a local master? Because it could be. But you can knock it out. Is it the Vodafone, in this case, as the mobile operator? And then all the steps that people like Mobius Networks have. But by breaking it down incrementally and moving through why it doesn't work, you can deliver an engineered solution. So, be more demanding. Don't accept fluffy clouds. Start looking for stuff like this. As I I say, keep asking questions at every step of the way. So when somebody presents you with some hardware and it's got industrial in it, what does industrial mean? Is it marketing speak? What's the mean time between failures? How many hours is this expected to last in the field? Has it got a heat tolerance up to 85 or minus 20? Ask questions. CE mark, it's got a CE mark. Is that a Chinese export? What does CE mark mean? Ask questions throughout. Ask questions about your Simm provider. Ask questions about me. Ask for case studies. Has this been done before? Can you show me examples of this? Get KPIs and SLAs. Darren and the TFT with their EV working group have set a KPI of 99.6 availability, which is pretty good, but it's still about 20 minutes a month offline. But that should be your baseline. One group's accepted it, that should be your baseline, 99.6. But why not challenge it and make it 99.996? Because I've got clients that demand 5 nines as an SLA on mobile. Ask about resilience architecture. Because if you've got one data path through any system, things do go wrong. So you want a diverse data path, ideally geographically separate. Ask the question. Most people will say, roaming sims, that's the silver bullet. We'll get one that can connect to every network. And it isn't really. It isn't really. The mobile networks are a living, breathing thing. So O2 might be the best one at this moment in time, or when you did a site survey. But in 60 seconds time, it may be Vodafone. And you're asking a piece of equipment to go, O2, Vodafone, it isn't the magic bullet that everybody thinks it is. It would be if you're in the Outer Hebrides. You've only got maybe 2 cells covering an island. But in most rural and urban environments, you're better off going for a single carrier. And be aware that everything has an intrinsic value. If you're walking down the high street, you saw a restaurant offering a 16-ounce steak, a bottle of Moet Chandon, and chips for £3. It's too good to be true. So if you get somebody that offers you data and it doesn't seem right compared to the other quotes that you've had, question why. What shortcuts are they taking? Is the shortcut that they've not got a resilient backup? Or it's not a real IoT grade SIM? There's a shortcut somewhere. So trust yourselves. If it doesn't feel right, ask and challenge. Security is my current hobby horse. As I said previously, we had standalone systems that were intrinsically safe because they were isolated from everything in the world. But as we move into this data, big data, cloud services, you're now exposed to the big bad world out there. And it's getting more and more hostile. North Korea, the Russians. Hacking is state-led now. And if you don't want your council to be hacked, as St Helens was done 2 weeks ago, you need to start thinking about security for your entire supply chain. So if you're putting a tender out, work with your IT team, your procurement teams, because they're aware of these standards of NIST, of Cyber Essentials, and Cyber Essentials Plus. And I'd argue that Cyber Essentials Plus would be the minimum that you put into any documentation, simply because it forces every member of the supply chain to have the penetration test. And it's the only true test. Somebody might have 27001, but that's a document. It is nothing other than a policy document. So you can be awarded it, your supplier could be awarded it, and it sits in a drawer, it's dead. And yet you're left wide open. And last of all, security again. Think about security. You can't be a little bit secure. And I hate for one of your conurbations to be brought down because you've left a door open. So please just think about security. And that's me, that's a quick ramble through mobile and questions that you should be asking as engineers. And by asking the questions, you'll get better results with 4G and 5G moving forward. So, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. I don't think we can let you leave without actually somebody asking you a question. You spent quite a lot of that presentation asking people to ask questions.
Yes.
So look, we've already got one over there from Mark. We got the, brilliant, thank you. Mark.
Peter, thank you. This is a really nitpicky little detailed question. You talked about service availability and you went 99.5, 99.6%, and you said 20 minutes a month or whatever it equated to.
Yeah.
So if I don't have a failure over 12 months, could I be looking at 240 minutes or a 4-hour outage and still hit that figure? I'm always a bit wary of defining service availability as a percentage like that.
Yeah.
I would suggest that it should be failures of a duration of no more than this many in a, so per year, no more than 25-minute failures or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Because I think that the failure depends on the service that you're running.
Yeah.
And the consequences. If you need low latency, then what you could live with is maybe 100 millisecond failure every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Not bothered.
Yeah.
But if it's a UTC system, you know,
right.
you've got to get those failures right. So it's really an observation on when you're looking at services and what you're asking for. So,
but at present, nobody puts anything in. So what I'm asking is, put an SLA in. Be demanding of your suppliers. And let's drive these standards up. But good point, Mike.
Thanks, Peter.
Do we have any more questions for Peter, who, I'd just like to remind everyone, literally stood in at the last minute for us? Oh, we've got one
Jackie.
here. Jackie,
Be
the
more
famous Jackie. Jackie will be the meme of the conference. Just ask Jackie.
I've been recently learning how to configure routers so that I can save some cost in terms of deployment, and it's a very different field than my current expertise. So I'm learning an awful lot. One thing I'm struggling with is the location of resources that will help me with this. So things like, I have 3 types of deployment currently. I've got VPNs that are fixed IPs on the Simm. I've got VPNs with roaming IPs that are fixed in the VPN tunnel. I've got APNs. And just understanding the difference between all of these different types of configuration, it's really hard. So can you point us to any resources that exist that we could turn to as engineers to learn this area of work?
There isn't that I know of. However, myself and John in the past have talked about running a training course, whether it be online or physical, getting people across to train on this, because it is an area where it's very grey and there isn't the resources out there to train people and get people to understand. So, yeah, but
a show of hands to see who might be interested in going on a course like that.
Well, that's encouraging.
Well, that's the feedback we want then.
It is.
No, that would be excellent, thank you.
Another question? Yeah.
Brilliant. We've got one more question here.
Sorry, just a very quick one, and sort of related to exactly what you were saying, but actually I'm back at Mark, possibly. Should we as an industry maybe have a Topaz standard for example, UTMC communications delay, latency, things like that, that then informs us, or that we can use to then write into those contracts?
That would be absolutely perfect. In other industries that Mobius work in health, there's a health quality standard that you have to hit to provide SIMs into the health industry, because they're trying to keep people alive. And I'd say this is a critical industry, so having a standard would be perfect.
So a Topaz thing then?
Oh, Mark, sorry. My peripheral vision's not so good today.
Thank you. I'm aware there's a question down here, but with the Topaz hat on. Chris, can we talk about that outsider here? It might not be quite as straightforward as it seems, and Peter, maybe I'll have a chat with you about it as well.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge that. Thank you. Topaz will always accept suggestions for specs, and then there's a bit of heavy lifting to be done to try and create something.
But given that there are so many standards out there, you can almost cherry pick, you know, we like this, we like that, we don't like that. So it would be relatively easy to do, but it does need doing.
Thanks.
Brilliant. One last question from Jenny here.
Thank you. Because you're an emergency speaker,
Yep.
we weren't told whether you go cycling or build Lego. I'm not quite sure how we're going to live without that information. But my question is perhaps a good one to end on, because it's much more meta than the other questions. I've been lucky to been hearing from you on this topic for must be 15 years now or more. We published a couple of guides to it when I was at ITS UK, didn't we? Really, really good. So my question is, do you feel that awareness and understanding is building, or is it still an uphill struggle?
It's an uphill struggle, if I'm honest. If I could be blunt, as engineers, as soon as they mention network or mobile, you seem to accept almost anything rather than challenge it. Like I say, that RMS site, oh, it's got poor coverage. What? Like I say, you want to accept it from your mobile phone, so why accept it from your consultants or from your suppliers? So, yeah.
And what a point to end on, actually. You know, why would you accept
Exactly.
that? Please, can we give Peter a great big hand?